Hello friends, I'm Haley Tamelia. Welcome to Yin Yoga this morning, or whatever time it is that you're watching or rewatching this. This is live on Instagram, and my mom just joined. Hello, Mama. We're gonna get started soon. So if you have 2 blocks, that's great. If not, and you happen to have a blanket nearby, that can be helpful too. I'm gonna go grab mine real quick. All right, great. Yeah, so I was just saying, if you have 2 blocks, that's great, we'll use those. If not, and you have a blanket nearby, that can be helpful. And if that's not an option, no worries, I'll give you something else to do as we get into this. So today we're going to be doing Yin, and Yin Yoga is a form of yoga that really focuses on release. And we hold shapes for about 3 to 5 minutes each. Today we'll probably be holding mostly for 3s. I'm just going to turn off the air here. So we'll be holding shapes for about 3 minutes each. And right away, I want you to just get in your mindset that during this practice, you will experience a lot of intense sensations, but be mindful there's a difference between a sharp sensation of pain that feels like bone on bone. We don't want any of that. On the other hand, there'll probably be sensations of pulling, and it can be uncomfortable. It can sometimes feel like you're sitting on the edge of barely bearable. But that's actually where we kind of want to work. We stay with that feeling rather than running away from it the way we tend to in our everyday life, seek pleasure anytime pain comes, or seek escape anytime something gets uncomfortable. So this practice gives us an opportunity to deal with that and to face it a little bit more head on. So for our first posture, I'm going to do Virasana, which is a shape I've been really working on to get some more flexibility in my knees and quads. This shape can be very intense. I'm going to show you the basic setup and then give you some options. So the basic setup will be that you're sitting straight on your heels, and then you'll just start to inch your heels out to the sides, keeping your knees close together, until your heels start to be to the outside of your hips. When you've got that, just sit up, grab the meaty part of your calves and peel it to the side. That'll allow you to scoot your feet a little bit more out to the side. And if this is accessible, your sit bones will be on the ground. And you'll know right away if this is not accessible. You'll feel a lot of too intense sensation, probably right around the knees, maybe in the feet. So if you have a block, it can be really helpful to just sit on it. And immediately you'll see that that sensation is kind of relieved. It's all right if you want to take this a little bit lighter just to get into the flow of things. Other option, if you don't have the block, you can take your blanket, have it, folded a few times, and then just take that folded edge and snug it underneath your knees so that when you sit, now you've got support. That'll really help alleviate some of the tension on the knees. So pick your poison, and we will get settled. I'm gonna take it with this nice little blanket under my knees. It's gonna be kind of luxurious. And then once you've found the posture that serves your body today, just allow your eyelids to soften and darken the world as you begin to turn inward for this introspective practice. Awareness, finding the breath without any judgment or attempts to change it. Just observe it the way you would watch water trickle down a mountain stream, or a bird swoop in the sky, or a child play. A distant sense of observation. would you describe the rate of your breath right now? How do you know when you're breathing in? How do you know when you're breathing out? See if you can get a little closer to your breath. Closer so that you can resolve the details of the movements that bring inhalation and the movements that bring exhalation. Now, if you've experienced some tingling in your legs, no, that's fine. If it's so distracting that it pulls your mind away from the breath, then just let it go to that tingling or whatever sensations you're experiencing and get close to that. If you find yourself saying, ah, that's painful, or oh, that's uncomfortable, take a moment and say, is it really? How do I know what this is? Inviting a sense of open experience, to look at things without a sense of bias, without intuitive or instinctive bias, and just seeing clearly as things are. Tingles as tingles, prickles as prickles, heat as heat, cold as cold. Eventually the mind will become at ease with that sensation. Take another breath wherever you are. Let it be wide and full. And through parted lips, let it sail out. Slowly begin to lift your heels or your seat away from your heels. Remove the block or blanket that you've got. And then just start to crawl forward. And just come into a tabletop for a moment. Drop the belly on your breath in, lifting the heart for a cow. And on the exhale, round like cat. Taking about 3 more of those on your own breath, breathing in for your cows with a broad collarbone. And exhaling with a round spine for cat. And we all meet in a neutral spine. Extend your right toes behind you, let them tuck. And then gently just allow that tissue in the back of the legs to start to readjust to lengthening. Our fascia is what we work on with yin practice. And it's the interconnecting tissues between the cells, around the muscles, throughout the entire body. Also tendons, ligaments, all those things. And that fascia is really slow to change, which is why we sit in those poses for so long. but it's also slow to contract after it's been extended, so we really want to make sure that we give a little bit of time to let that happen. Extend your left leg back to join the right. If you want to drop the right knee down, you can. Just want to give a little bit of slow extension to the left leg. You can keep a gentle bend in the knee too. So this time we're being gentle here. We're just warming up and getting started. It does feel good though. All right, and then simply come into a seat, swinging your legs around out in front of you. Flex the toes toward your face and take a breath in, reaching the hands wide, wide, wide. And then folding forward to your depth. No, there's no awards for deep, deep stretches. And there should be no criticism either. I mean, if there is, whatever, it's fine. It's part of being human, but yoga, if it's taught me one thing, it's to be where I am. And no matter if you get to this point of hyper flexibility or, I don't know, some job achievement, achievements are great and everything, but really when you get there, you're really still just breathing. You're still a body. And life goes on, you know, so just be wherever you are and honor it. Relaxing the fingers and the face. We're just here for another breath or two as we ease into practice. Let those breaths be wide and fill your back. Open the mouth. Ease in the neck. Maybe the chin talks a little more toward the spine. One more breath. Make it wide. And then uncurl the spine, letting the chin be the last to lift. Hands come to the sides of your hips. Press down and toward your hips with your heels, almost like you're trying to drag your heels toward your hips. A little air might pop under your knees, that's great. Press the floor away, lift the heart, Dandasana, staff pose. And then swing your legs back. We're gonna meet in a downward facing dog. And it was nice that we allowed our hamstrings to stretch out a little bit before coming into this, especially after Virasana. We're being mindful of what we ask the body to do here. Spread the fingers wide. And then begin to send your weight to the left foot and both hands as the right leg reaches up behind you. Put a 90-degree bend at the hip, and then just open the knee to the side, giving yourself a circle, any mobility that feels good. And breathing in, you'll reach that right leg long behind you. Think knee toward outer right shoulder as you plant the foot on the outside of your hand. Now here, you can drop the back knee down, untuck the toes, or you can leave the toes tucked. It's a different sensation, and it does allow a little bit more squareness in the hips. Choose what feels good to you right now. And then your hands will be under your shoulders, heart reaching forward. If you have blocks, you might want to take one or two underneath your forearms here. Or you can try to see how forearms feel coming down into the shape. Give yourself, a few moments to adjust and find where you want to be. And then I've got the time, so you can close your eyes. Commit to being where you are. And release into the breath. you draw your awareness here to the space between your pubic bone and tailbone, the perineum. Beginning to sense any motion you might feel in the pelvic floor as you breathe up or breathe in and out. The pelvic floor is one of 3 diaphragms involved in respiration. There's the diaphragm of the ribs that everyone's most familiar with. It does the bulk of the work. Then there's the diaphragm that's at the back of the throat, and then the one that's on the pelvic floor. And what's interesting is that on our inhales, the pelvic floor actually releases downward, and it's in a relaxed state at that point on the inhalation. That allows the organs to move down as the larger diaphragm of the torso presses, pulling down. And on the inhale, or on the exhales, that pelvic diaphragm lifts up, almost like you're drawing a Kleenex out of a box. Just a light lifting as it rises in concert with the larger diaphragm. So just notice what movements, if any, you can feel here. Staying for just 3 more breaths. You're going to press yourself up with your hands, set your blocks aside, and then simply heel toe your foot across the top of your mat so that your ankle's kind of behind your left wrist. You may need to adjust your back knee a little bit. We're coming into a half pigeon. I like to slide my back knee behind me in space a little bit to increase the stretch. And again, you have an option of tucking the back toes. That's something I've been recently playing around with. It keeps the hips a little more level. If this posture is really intense or you have a really big gap under your seat, some people like to put a block there and then find their way down. I like a block underneath my head in this shape. But you can always just support yourself on your forearms, and you don't really need anything. Discover what serves you. And find your breath. To open the ears to listen to what the body is saying to you. Perhaps there's a screaming in the outer right hip. Maybe you tend to that screaming like a child or a baby who's crying, or an animal needs help. And with compassion, send, release, allowing the exhales to soften something. eyelids softening, jaw relaxed. What can you let go of right here? Last few breaths. Press your body up and come onto the right hip, swinging your left leg around. And then your right foot can cross over to the other side. And you want to align knee over knee to the best of your ability. The pinky side edge of the right foot is on the ground. We'll take a breath in here, lifting the arms up, maybe hooking thumbs for extra length, breathing in. And as you exhale, reach forward and just bow. Now you might be really tall in this shape, and that's fine. Wherever you are is where you are, and the work is to honor that. Or you might find yourself a little bit further down, and if that's the case, it can be really lovely to rest your head on a block, just stacking that block on top of the knee. Or not on top of the knee, on top of the shin. And again, we come to our breath, motions. A broad inhalation, a contraction of exhalation. Softening the shoulders, back of the neck, the upper arms, forearms, soft. Softness in the fingers. When the body cries, the exhales soothe. Last few breaths here. Begin to press yourself up, removing any props you may have used. And then just take your legs wide into a V stretch. Take a breath in. Hook the thumbs and just lean over to the left, rooting more in the right hip. Staying for the exhale. Coming back to center. Switch the thumbs. Breathing in. And exhaling, pulling over toward the right foot, rooting through the left sit bone. Stay for the exhale. Come back to center. Interlace the fingers, flip the palms, stretch up as you breathe in. And release the shoulder blades down the back as you exhale. Another breath in. Try to press your sit bones into the ground. Notice how that engages the belly. And keeping your toes pointed toward the sky, just begin to lean forward. You might not go very far. Root through the heels. Stay for another breath. And then allow yourself to come down, just bowing the head. Try to keep the feet pointing toward the sky. We're only here for a minute. Let the belly be soft to support that work or to balance it. Already, we come up. And then you will all meet in a downward facing dog. Just take 5 breaths here, spreading the fingers wide, letting the hips rise up, the neck release. Really let the head drop. Most people cling their head in this shape, so let it be heavy. 3 more breaths. Begin to send more pressure in your hands and right foot as the left leg floats up and back. Bend the knee 90 degrees. Turn it out to the side and take a few hip circles. Switching directions. Then extend it really long, reaching behind you as you breathe in. Think knee toward left shoulder as you breathe out, and plant that foot to the outside of the left hand. Reach the collarbones forward as the back heel reaches behind you. Then drop the back knee, your choice to leave the toes tucked or take this lizard untucked. Hands are underneath the shoulders. And your gaze will be about a foot or 2 out in front of you. And there's that option to come to forearms or to rest your forearms on a block. If you'd like to close your eyes, you may. If you'd like to drop your head, you can choose to do that. And then bring that breath back in.
And here we have the opportunity to draw the awareness to that perineum between the pubic bone and the tailbone, and just to see if you can notice any movements, any lowering and releasing on the inhales of the pelvic floor, and any slight lifting on the exhales. A lot of tissue comes together at the base of our torso. Maybe you feel the muscles of the thighs kind of connected to that breath, that lowering and lifting of the pelvic floor. Breath moving and flowing through the body like water flows through a stream, cleansing, clearing. 2 more clearing breaths right here. Smooth and easy. Make your way back to your hands, removing any props that have assisted you. And then heel toe your left ankle behind right wrist, landing the shin, gesturing toward parallel to the top of your mat. In reality, it'll probably take quite an angle, and it's very okay if that happens. Then you have that option to scoot your left or your right leg back in space, to tuck the toes or leave them untucked according to your preference. Then breath in to just broaden across the collarbones and lift. Know that you have those same options if you want to put a block underneath the left hip if there's a big space there, or if you'd like to let it prop up your head, that can be nice. Another option is to allow one block to be kind of reaching the sternum between the chest, and then have the other block come underneath the head. That's just a little bit more support. The arms can reach out, or they can lace through those blocks. Find ease on this side, noticing how it's different from the other side. Air flowing through the body like water flowing through a stream, creating space. Improving circulation as the fascia releases.
breaths. You're going to press your hands into the ground, lift yourself up, and then sit onto your left hip. Extend the legs wide. We're going to take this fold again. But we're going to vary it up a little bit. So this time, just frame your hands around your right leg, pointing both all 10 toes up to the sky. Breathe in and lift your arms. And as you exhale, start to hinge over that leg to your current ability in this moment, knowing it changes all the time and says nothing about who you are. And maybe you drop your right forearm to the outside of that leg and then lift the left arm overhead, letting your neck be really soft and your ear just kind of drape towards your bottom shoulder. Send your breath to the left side body, areas of tension that seem to want it most. And breathe in to lift up. And just frame the left leg with your hands. Recommit to the toes pointing up to the sky. Arms float for the inhale. And exhale, fold over that left leg. Option to press that left forearm into the ground as the right hand floats over your ear. Relaxing the head, left ear toward left shoulder. Nice stretch on the right side as the right hip roots down. Then you come back up. Take your hands in a clasp behind your back, and then start to straighten your arms as your heart lifts, breathing in. Exhale, lead with your heart, and begin to hinge forward, toes stay pointed to the sky. Just stop when your body. Crown of head reaching long as the fist behind you reaches away. Keep those palms pressing together, sealed. We're just here for 3 more breaths. Heels rooting in the ground for the next 2. Last one. Nice. Come back up. Now we'll take fire log pose. Let's begin with your left leg bent like you come into a sukhasana with your right shin in front. Know that you can come into this sukhasana, just cross-leg shape, if what we're about to do doesn't serve you. So take your right ankle, stack it on top of your left knee, trying to get your knees and ankles aligned. So your left knee is anchored by your right ankle, and then your right knee is above your left ankle. If you're like me, you've got a really big space between your foot and your knee. You can always fill that space with a block. As a general rule in yoga, filling spaces with blocks is a good option to start to learn how to use your blocks. It's your choice. You may or may not like this. We're gonna fold with this. Breathe in and lift up. And exhale, fold over the leg. Again, you might not want to keep that block there. It's up to you. I'm gonna go with my trusty block under the forehead, which you can stack and make yourself a little tower to bring it closer to you. That's gonna be nice. Or you can even rest your arms on your legs, giving a little more pressure to the knee, the stretch.
on the right hip. So good, guys. Relax. Eyelids soft. Spine long and soft. Feeling into the ball and socket of the left hip. Just imagining a little bit of breath, creating a little space in the joint, softness in the joint. And the right hip, that ball and socket, sense it in space and see it in your mind's eye. Send a little breath of air between those joints, easing up. And sensing into the left shoulder joint. Shoulder blade that glides on the back of the ribs. Send a little air, a little lubricating space to the left shoulder joint, feeling it release with ease. And then the right shoulder blade hovering over the ribs. Give that a breath of air, little space, little ease. Elbows and knees, receiving a little softness too, as all the joints of the body release. And breath flows in and out like water flows through a stream. Last breath. Begin to lift your head. Unravel your legs. Stretch them out in front of you and give them a little jiggle. And we'll switch the cross. So this time, again, you can start in this Sukhasana easy seat with your left shin in front of your right. And then just take the left ankle on top of the right knee, aligning ankles and knees. Right away, you'll notice there'll be some differences in these hips. That's normal. Breathe in and lift the arms. Exhale, bring them down. And it's your choice if you'd like to fill the space under your leg with a block, or if you'd like to create a tower as I had. You can also take a block on top of one of the knees. Play around for a few breaths and just find your place where you want to settle. And we'll be here for 3. Breathing space into the hips. Lengthen the spine. Freedom in the whole body. watching the breath like it's your first love. Last few breaths here to find even deeper softness, surrender. Begin to press yourself up. Moving any props to the side, and very slowly, carefully, allow your legs to extend in front of you. Give them a jiggle. And I owe you something on this left side here. Bend your knee. Take the left leg to the outside of the right, stacking knee above knee. Allow your sit bones to connect into the ground. Breathe your hands to the sky. And exhale, fold. Option for that block between your shin and forehead. Or if you're way up here, great. Enjoy the view. We're here. Maybe your hands reach for your foot. They don't have to. In this folded over posture, we're literally folded in on ourselves. It's a time to invite introspection. What is one thing you can feel extremely grateful for right now? See it in your mind's eye. Breathe life into that sense of gratitude. Each breath allowing that gratitude to build and emanate outward. Breathe in that sense of appreciation through every cell of the body. Softening the eyelids, and the jaw, shoulders, the spine. Last few breaths here. You're going to press yourself up. Extending both legs out long in front of you. Give them another shake. We're going to come into reclined hero's pose. This is building on the first shape that we took in class. I'll give you some options. First and foremost, I'm going to set up blocks at the back of my mat. I like to put one tall, and then one on its medium height in front of that. The one that's on its medium height will be for my shoulder blades, and then the one on the highest will be for my head. So we're going to come into the hero's pose that we began class with. You know, you can use the blanket again underneath the crease of your knees if that served you. And you'll just start first coming onto the sit bones with your heels underneath your sit bones, and start to scoot those heels out to the side a little bit. When they're just along the sides, lift, pull the meat of the calves out, and then you can sink a little bit deeper. You might already notice this shape feels a little different from the beginning. And then reclined heroes, we start to walk the hands back. If you don't have blocks, you can just bend your arms like this, or keep them long and high, allowing the heart to lift, taking the chin where it serves you. Probably not Pez dispensaring the head back. And then if it feels good in your body, you can lower to your blocks, or if you're super limber, maybe you don't even have blocks. And now know, if there's any pain in your low back, come take this standing, in the standing posture. Also, we want the knees to be together and touching. So if reclining means that your knees lift and separate, it's not worth it. Just come back to the posture where you're a little more vertical. And there's always the option, instead of this pose, to take anything that serves you for 3 minutes. That's like the beauty of yoga, is making it your own, making it what serves your body in the very present moment. We have a lot of times where we can push, a lot of times where we can grind. This is a time where we can just say, what do I need? Let's relax into that. Relaxing into the breath. Allowing the heart to receive your loving awareness. Feeling it lift and fall in concert with your breath. Thoracic diaphragm, that main diaphragm under our ribs, is connected to our heart. It's almost as though our inhales and exhales provide a little massage to that heart that works so hard for us. This posture can be very pacifying despite its intensity. It's not uncommon for people to start to feel lulled